So is the enthusiasm of the thousands of Bulls fans that are streaming into the area. The Petrillo Bandshell has about 5,000 seats set aside. Those seats are pretty well filled right now, and Grant Park is beginning to fill up as well. It's quite a day for this Chicago Celebrates the Bulls afternoon.
Had to push back the Blues Fest 1 hour to accommodate, and you get a look at the bandshell there, and all decorated very nicely with Bulls banners and everybody wearing red out in the crowd and the skyline back behind. It is beautiful down here today.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be quite a celebration. There is a big day planned by the city, a 45-minute program that will start in about 1 hour, as Steve said. As we take a look at the Grant Park area, the Petrillo Music Show, which will be the scene of all of this activity. They started lining up to get those cherished 5,000 seats early in the morning this morning. The first fans actually got in line in some areas as early as 1 to 2 o'clock. By sunrise, there were hundreds, if not thousands, in line. And about 2 hours ago, when this video was shot, you can see the throng standing by. An enthusiastic crowd, but generally very orderly. Everybody hoping to get in to celebrate the victory of the Bulls.
And they're all filing in, and the first guy to bust through. Here he comes, number 1 in line, and there's a guy who'd been up all night, but certainly didn't bother him at all. Tom Vares headed for one of those front row seats.
People came from Milwaukee, people I talked to from Laredo, Texas, from Lawrence, Kansas, somebody here from New Mexico, young lady I talked to from Atlanta, Georgia. They all just wanted to be here and be part of the action. And everybody is a Bulls fan here in Grant Park today.
Well, Allison Payne is also with us out here, and she's down on the floor amidst all those fans. Let's go to Allison right now and see what she has. Allison?
And I'd like to say I'm the #1 Bulls fan, but I can't possibly say that because there are thousands of them out here with me today. Absolutely incredible spirit. These people are hotter than the Bulls themselves. Couldn't see the final game on TV, but they are ready to share their spirit, as you can see. We want to talk to a couple of them. As you said, they've been out here for hours. Congratulations. What a jubilant day. What's your name, ma'am?
Estelle Bradshaw.
And Estelle, what do you want to say to the Bulls today?
All I want to say is keep on keeping on. Knowing next year, too.
All right. A big message from the Bulls for everyone. Rick and Dan, it's so crazy out here today.
Allison Payne, surrounded by several thousand of her closest friends.
Swallowed up in the crowd. It's going to be fun out here today for everybody. I think it's been a very well-mannered group, and everybody excited to see their heroes, and they'll see them in just about an hour.
Yeah, we've got a little mini motorcade that'll show up, and the real festivities begin at about 10 minutes to noon. We will come back live with a couple of updates during the course of the news, and then back with live coverage at about 11:45, and plenty of time for you to join us to see that motorcade as the Bulls arrive here in Grant Park. Situation developed here that I think is a little bit ugly. We've had a chain link fence that had been surrounding the Petrillo Bandshell area come down in the last 30 seconds or so, and a tremendous surge of crowd, people moving forward. As you can see, that fence came down. Our camera person was actually in harm's way at that point. Tremendous amount of enthusiasm turning just a little bit ugly and dangerous with this tremendous surge of people moving forward to see the Bulls, and the Bulls are nowhere close to even being here.
You know what, though, Rick? I'd have to say that even though the fence is down, I don't see a lot of people pushing and shoving. They just got a little bit closer, and everything seems to have stabilized here a little bit right now.
We do hope that nobody gets hurt, but as with all such things, when you get so many people surging forward, there is a great risk of somebody getting hurt. We surely do not want to see that mar this otherwise grand event on behalf of the Chicago Bulls. Tremendous amount of enthusiasm by mostly a young crowd that I'm seeing, Dan Rowe, not too many oldsters, mostly kids, and they get carried away in their enthusiasm. But this can be a scary bit of business, and the Chicago PD has stepped aside. There is no effort that I can see
Kids are climbing over
for them to try to control this crowd. The fence is down, the kids are moving forward, and there is just nothing that anybody is going to be able to do to prevent it.
Yeah, once again, there's a look at the fence coming down. But again,
they are surging.
People that are moving into the seating area now are just kind of strolling through, and there's not a huge crush or nobody getting knocked over or anything like that. Thousands of people back behind the seating area, and they're all just kind of slowly moving up a little bit closer to get a better view. So right now, at least, I don't see any big problem.
Dan, I was going to say, nobody appears to be violent. They just want to get in there to get a closer look. Is that
I think you're absolutely right, Steve, and
we hope you're right.
Yeah, at least as of now, there's no major problem, except to the fence, which will never be the same again.
No, it will not. But I do have to say that crowds like this, when they get enthusiastic and they get a little bit out of control, it really makes me nervous. I'm glad that there is no alcohol being sold in the park today. Beer sales later this afternoon, we understand, for the Blues Fest, which will follow immediately, as they say in broadcasting. But crowds like this tend to make me a little bit nervous because there tends to be a lack of control.
You're
hearing...
Rick, let me interrupt. Are police making any effort to try to push them back? I only saw one.
No, they are not, Steve, and that is probably a wise move given the fact that they would surely be outnumbered. I mean, that was a sturdy chain link fence and a standard police barricade that was behind it, shoring it up. And that barricade and chain link fence stood no chance against the surge of the crowd. It was just an unstoppable tide of humanity that wanted to get closer than that fence was allowing them to get. I don't want to be a naysayer or a preacher of gloom and doom here, but this has the potential for being a little bit scary. This makes me a little bit nervous to see all of this crowd surging as it has.
Well, again, now, though, it seems to be stabilized. So people are just walking in, and hopefully the rest of this fence will stay up and everybody will behave themselves and everybody will have a good time.
Well, it's a well-behaved and enthusiastic crowd, and I share your hope, Dan. We'll be back with another update.
A bit out there.
Well, it's a raucous celebration, a well-behaved crowd, but a big one out here, and there was some concern for a time because the crowd surged forward about 40 minutes ago and knocked over a section of chain link fence. We were not able to see whether anyone was hurt. I don't think so.
No.
It's not a bad crowd. It's just an extremely enthusiastic and extremely large crowd. And when you get enthusiastic and big, there is the potential for trouble. Although, Dan, we should underscore we haven't seen any problems. It's just a bunch of folks out here celebrating the Bulls.
The ceremony and all the festivities just about ready to begin now. Rick, Kathy Osterman's up on the dais introducing the first musical act. And we can take a look at our helicopter shot right now and give you a look at the Bulls motorcade getting ready over there on Columbus Drive. They'll be here before too long, and you're going to hear some kind of screaming when those guys show up.
They are a couple of blocks south of us right now on Columbus. It's going to be a mini motorcade. They'll move north on Columbus from Congress to Jackson, where we are, come in the back door to the Petrillo Bandshell, and there will be a number of presentations. Governor Edgar will be there, so will Mayor Daley, among others. Allison Payne is down in the crowd. She has a couple of guests. Allison, what's cooking?
Rick and Dan, you want to know who's so excited, who can't wait until those Bulls get here. You're looking at some beautiful children who have some of the best seats in the house. They are students from Brown Elementary School, and they happen to be neighbors of Chicago Stadium. And standing by with me now is Shale Gerstein, who's the principal of Brown School. Shale, how did you guys get chosen to get such great seats?
Well, the mayor picked us to represent all the Chicago public schools.
And was there some kind of honor that you guys had for this seating arrangement?
I don't know. The mayor came to our school back in January and talked to our fifth graders when they were had their culminating activity for DARE. We were in the Tribune about last week on the front page. The reporter interviewed us, so I guess.
So you guys are pretty high profile.
Right.
Let's talk to Torrance Smith here, who is a 13-year-old over at Brown Elementary. Torrance, what are you thinking about right now? I know you're excited to see Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I want to see the Bulls, and
what would you say to him if you could say anything to Michael?
well, I'll say, can I see him again, or, yeah, you know.
Can't think of anything to say to him. He's speechless. Rick and Dan, all these kids can't wait. They'll have plenty to say once Michael walks out on the stage, I'll bet.
Okay, Allison, thanks. The program was to have begun. Actually, they promised us a lot of recorded music from 11 o'clock on, and we haven't heard a peep. I suspect we are a little bit behind. The Mayor's Office of Special Events throwing this party, and it may just be a little bit bigger than they'd expected, but they are promising some music. They are promising a full-dress introduction of all 12 of the Bulls, Coach Jackson, and all of the rest of them. And so we will just stand by here. We'll hope you'll join us in just a few minutes as we begin our continuing live coverage of what promises to be one whale of a celebration at the Petrillo Bandshell and much of Grant Park in downtown Chicago, as Chicago celebrates the Bulls with Allison Payne and Dan Roan. We're in Grant Park, Dan. This is quite a crowd. It is swollen from the 5,000 or 10,000 that we saw here at 10 o'clock this morning to easily 50,000 or more. I'm terrible at crowd estimates when it gets beyond that, but this is a tremendous outpouring of enthusiasm for the Chicago Bulls, who are due on stage in just a few minutes.
Yeah, they won't be long until the Bulls get here. In fact, we have some pictures of their motorcade that will be coming up Columbus Drive. This is a look at the bandshell, but the Bulls will be driving up.
There's a great shot of the trees in Grant.
I knew I recognized something there, that tree.
That's right. The Bulls have got a mini motorcade working from Congress. They're working north just a couple of blocks to Jackson, which of course is where the Petrillo bandshell is located. They will come in a back door and they will be well escorted. There's the route of the motorcade as they work north. They'll be coming in the back door. They'll be introduced shortly. There's a young man who's got a great seat.
Didn't cost him a cent either.
No, it did not. Seat in the sun with a breeze at his back as he watches the goings-on at the Petrillo Music Show. There were seats set aside for about 5,000 people. There's easily 10,000 people here, Dan, as we were saying earlier. The crowd surged forward, knocked a fence down, and a lot more people came in than they had expected would be in the bandshell area itself, and thousands more around the periphery looking on from every hilltop, and not a few light standards. It's a sea of red and black. The fans very enthusiastic. The entertainment right now, a Blues in the Schools performance by the Grant School students. Grant Elementary School over on the west side at 145 South Campbell. We expect shortly the Mayor's Executive Director of Special Events, Kathy Osterman, will be introducing the Lovables and Benny the Bull. Some VIPs will be up on stage shortly. Mayor Daley is supposed to be there. Governor Edgar is supposed to be there. A couple of Bulls banners in the crowd. Those are the youngsters from Grant Elementary School. They've got quite a blues program.
Yeah, they're playing too. They're playing all the instruments and providing all the music, and the crowd really getting into it, the people in the seating area. Everybody here to help Michael Jordan scratch that 7-year itch. It's been 7 years since he joined the team, and now he's got the title.
The Lovables in the wings. They're waiting to come out.
Let me just say one thing too, Rick. After having spent a week in L.A. and seen 3 playoff games out there, I'm taking our Lovables over those Laker girls any day.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I think the Lovables have got it over most of the other pom-pom squads in the NBA. And that's not an easy job. You know, people take a look and say, hey, anybody can do that, but those girls really work out.
I can't do it.
Well, you wouldn't look quite the same anyway. I don't think anybody would want to watch you or me doing it anyhow.
I can't do any of that. Boy, some very creative banners being blown up in the air. Some of those Bulls and some normal stuff right there.
That's right. We've seen signs. Somebody was parading through with a big sign held up, said, well, there's a sea of humanity, isn't there? That's from our live helicopter cameraman Mike Prendergast at about 500 feet above the sea of humanity that is now Grant Park as Chicago celebrates their NBA champion Chicago Bulls. Boy, it's been a long time coming. The crowd estimates now, Dan, range as high as 300,000 people.
That wouldn't surprise me a bit, considering what we can see back to the east and to the north here. I mean, this whole area is just jam-packed with bodies. Great mask out here in front of us. A kid with a Jack Nicholson mask on saying, hey, I'm moving to Chicago and I need tickets.
Need Bulls tickets. That's going to be a hot item next fall, isn't it?
Well, the waiting list right now is 6,000 and growing for season tickets for that place. It's been sold out over 180 times in a row now, and in all likelihood, that's going to go on for a long, long time.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Are we talking dynasty here? This is 1 in a row right now for the Chicago Bulls.
Well, it's very difficult to win 2 in a row. We can preface anything we say with that remark, but Detroit did it the past couple of years, and
the Lakers have had a hot hand. They've won 5 of the last 12 years, I think.
Very, very difficult to win them back-to-back, though. That's the key, staying motivated. You know, Michael Jordan has said throughout his career that he's lived for this moment. You know, and how tough is it going to be for him to get back emotionally and, you know, to where he has been, to get this team up to where they were, where they are now. And it's the same thing for his teammates, too. It'll be interesting to see how everybody handles all this success in the offseason, and what kind of shape and what kind of frame of mind they come back in September.
It'll be interesting to see how General Manager Jerry Krause handles the offseason, too, because there's a lot of talk. We're going to do some trading. We're going to offload a few people that haven't been producing as well as we'd like and try to actually shore up the team so that we get better in 1991-92.
Well, Jerry's done a good job. He's been much maligned by some people in the press and by some basketball people. But Jerry's got the last laugh right now. He got Michael Jordan here in '84. John Paxson was next among the starting group. And then the incredible draft of '87 when Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were picked in the first round. And then finally the last piece of the puzzle, the man in the middle, Bill Cartwright, came in the trade for Charles Oakley in '88. So that's the 5 starters. And then bench help all the way around. B.J. Armstrong's been a huge contributor. Cliff Livingston, Will Perdue, and on down the line. I mean, it really has been a team effort, and Phil Jackson has stressed that the whole time. That's why they won the NBA titles, because they played like a team.
We've got the Mayor's Executive Director of Special Events, Kathy Osterman, on stage now. She's got some introductions to make. Let's go back up on stage and see what she's got to say. Little more entertainment before we get to the main event.
The Bowles brothers. You know, it's nice that they dressed this up and gave it a little bit of a stadium atmosphere with the Lovables and the Bowles brothers. Check them out up on stage.
Does Chicago know how to throw a party or what?
The Bowles brothers. You see them in every game. Those guys do a great job.
They really do. Well, this is just the beginning. Boy, you are going to see pandemonium, or should we say fandemonium, when the Bulls are introduced, and that's coming up in just a couple of minutes.
What a moment that'll be. Back outside the Petrillo Bandshell area, here's what's happening. And a pretty good crowd greeting and pounding on that Bulls motorcade as they make their way up here.
Kathy Osterman introducing the Lovables.
We're going to get some of those stadium tunes here in a second, I think. I hope.
Yeah,
I'm not hearing anything right now.
They could turn the volume up a little bit.
Chance is the chant. The crowd a little slow in picking it up because I don't think they're hearing it very well.
They might have misinterpreted too.
We heard several chants along that tone before.
Not too much this season though, with a record of 76-23.
76 wins and 23 losses, and that includes the playoffs, of course. And the Bulls won 15 out of 17, but those 61 regular season wins were a club record, of course. And well, you could go through the numbers for a couple of hours and not hit them all. They have just had a dream season in their 25th anniversary year, the Chicago Bulls franchise.
Tell me something, Dan. Does Benny get paid to hang out with the Love of Bulls?
I'll tell you what they should do, Rick. They have to pay that guy by every pound that he loses in that suit up there.
Ooh, doggy, what is it, 90 degrees here at Grant Park?
About 190 inside that Bull suit.
I guess. Another look from our helicopter, about 500 feet over Grant Park, as we look down on a tremendous crowd looking there at Congress in Columbus.
You know, and that's the group that's not even included, I don't think, in the attendance estimate. That's not even on this large city block here in the Petrillo area.
Well,
boy, I tell you.
This is as busy as Grant Park has been on the busiest day of Chicago Fest, and that is saying something. Now, I'm having trouble telling because of the glare on the monitor. Is the motorcade hung up in that sea of humanity or no?
It's in there, but I think the Bulls have reached the gate, Rick. We're getting a report that Phil Jackson has walked onto the stage back behind, so he's waiting in the wings, and I'm sure his players will be up there momentarily as well.
Well, boy, this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment for them and for their fans, isn't it?
Oh, fantastic. Magnificent look at some of the people that have come out here this afternoon. I mean,
this is a work day. This is not summer vacation for the Chicago public school system yet. A lot of other schools are still in session. It is the noon hour, but this is after all a work day. All the more reason why it's remarkable that this turnout is as large as it is.
Well, our on-stage MC for this afternoon is Johnny Red Kerr, the first coach of the Bulls and one of the most popular local broadcasters of any sports franchise in any city. And here's Big Red.
Special national anthem by Chicago's own gospel singer, Calvin Bridges. Would you please rise and join us?
Next up, Red will introduce the VIPs, I guess with a lowercase v in this case, Dan, because we normally, when you refer to the mayor, the governor, and so on, we're backstage now. There's Mayor Daley off in the background there.
Steve Shanwald in the front. Steve, the Vice President, Director of Broadcasting and Marketing for the Bulls.
And there is the Larry O'Brien trophy that we were looking at.
The gold.
Yeah, exactly right. Named for the late commissioner of the NBA and one-time chairman of the Democratic National Committee. 25 years in the making, but by George, it was worth it.
It was worth it, and it will be worth it for the players. As we said, you know, they talked so much about getting back to Chicago, even in the locker room on Wednesday night after they'd won it. Get back to Chicago and celebrate with our fans, and here they all are.
Nothing like them. 300,000 plus, and I imagine that estimate is going to go up to 4, perhaps even 500,000. There is quite a crowd here in Grant Park. Allison Payne down in the crowd in the Petrillo band shell somewhere. Allison, what's up?
Here I am, baby. I'm right in the middle of it. Got one of the biggest Bulls fans. This woman could have been a lovable. What is your name?
My name is Linda Clemens, and I'm one of the Bulls fans. Yo! Oh!
Linda, what brings you down here today?
The Bulls! The Bulls! You know we're #1, the champs. That's right.
And which one is your favorite?
What is the name? Michael Jordan.
Second favorite.
Pat.
And when you see them come out on this stage today, what's going to come out of your mouth?
I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs. I know I'm going to have a voice tomorrow, but I will be screaming.
All right, thank you, sweetheart. This is where the excitement is. You guys ought to be right down here. Rick and Dan.
Okay, Al, thanks. One thing that may make a difference, Al, is that we have a little bit better view of the goings-on up here. But my goodness, it's an enthusiastic crowd, and wait till they introduce the Bulls.
Hey, why don't we tune into this? This is our song from the stadium, Rock and Roll Part 2, Gary Glitter. They love it out here.
Some fans outside that previous shot, some of the Bulls behind the scenes. They are here and backstage at the Petrillo Music Show. We are going through a process known as crowd warm-up, as if this crowd needed it, Dan. You know, this really is a people story, too. We're seeing some shots of some of the Bulls fans. They're the 6th man on the court, and they really did make a difference during the season.
No question about it. You can't have that kind of enthusiasm on your club unless you get it from the electricity of the building you're playing in at home. And the Bulls were phenomenal at home. Lost a couple of games early, and that was it.
We are expecting momentarily for our MC of the day, Johnny Red Kerr, to introduce Governor Edgar, Mayor Daley, some of the brass from the Bulls front office, and then we will get to meet the Bulls.
Bill Jackson will be first up. They've got some more stadium ceremony planned before we get to the players. And according to what we understand, we'll be hearing from not everybody, but from 7 of the Chicago Bulls players: Purdue, Hodges, Grant, Cartwright, Johnny Pack, Scottie Pippen, and finally,
last but not least,
you know,
number 23, MJ. Be great to hear what they all have to say. Fans have been waiting for a long time for this.
I wonder what the emotion's going to be like on that stage. You know, Michael broke down and cried I don't know how many times on Wednesday night. I mean, it was something to see, this proud, and
it was a remarkable shot, really, that spoke thousands of words. Michael Jordan in the locker room right after the game, hugging the O'Brien trophy, shaking his head, tears streaming down his cheeks, his father on one side, his wife on the other. Shot that I wish we could have framed, because that really said so much, so eloquently spoke of the season that Michael Jordan has had, and in fact the 7 years that he has put in large measure, dragging, pushing, motivating the Bulls, doing everything he can on and off the court to get this team to the championship. Not that it was by any means his show alone, but certainly he was a big part of it.
Well, he's been very vocal in prodding Bulls management to get what he considered to be the ingredients they needed to do this kind of a thing. And Michael, in fact, had been very upset with some of the things that happened this year and not getting players that he thought they should get. And lo and behold, Michael has said, I'll eat those words and eat them gladly right now, because we've got everything we need to win it all, and they have. And
what an illustrious career he has had. Just some of the highlights see on your screen there. And another highlight, he is going to be the only sports figure in history to be on 3 consecutive covers of Sports Illustrated. Now, I don't know where that ranks with Michael and other sports enthusiasts.
Well, they might have to credit him with 2.5. He was on 2 weeks ago, and then he and Magic were on together.
He shared, but it counts.
You know, you could fill up the screen listing his achievements of this year. He was a first-team guard on the Eastern Conference All-Star team, as per usual. He's the NBA's most valuable player during the regular season. All-defensive team again. All-interview team.
Right.
the unanimous MVP of the playoffs.
Right.
And he's got that ring on the way.
Scoring champ.
Just an incredible player. You may never see another one like him. In fact, you probably won't.
You know, the thing is, he is Michael Jordan. How do you describe a guy who won't put a clenched fist in the air and say, I am the greatest, but instead will say that this has been a team effort? This guy's a gentleman. He is just a fine, fine human being on top of everything else.
With some of the numbers from the championship series. And this really, I don't know if this is a real indicator of Michael's worth or the way Magic played. I thought Magic played one of the best games I'd ever seen a person play in the 5th game. And he had the triple-double, 20 assists in that game for him. But if you look down the line, Michael equaled or surpassed Michael in or Magic, I should say, just about every category. And, of course, his team's got the gold, so that's the ultimate victory. It doesn't matter really what those numbers say. There's some players coming in. Stacey King right there. Boy, wait till they walk out. They're not going to believe what they're going to see.
Going to be some shaking.
You talk about the crowd reacting to the Bulls. What will be the reaction of the Bulls in their own minds to the crowd they see out in front of them when they hit the stage? And they were thrilled yesterday with the reception they got at the airport when their chartered flight landed.
And there were only 200 or 300 people there. Now we are talking in terms of 300,000 in Grant Park or more. I would guess at this point, Dan, that's got to be a conservative crowd estimate.
There's
Scottie Pippen trooping in.
Scottie Pippen, who's emerged
Phil Jackson,
as a superstar in his own light.
You know, Jackson's been here one time before, not in Chicago, of course, but was it the '73 championship Knicks?
With the Knicks. And Phil has become the only coach ever to win league championships, not only in the NBA, but the CBA as well. So Phil put in his time, learned how to do this. And, of course, he studied under one of the masters, the great Red Holtzman out in New York, and borrowed a lot of Red's defensive philosophies and turned those into an outstanding defensive crew here in Chicago. In fact, that as much as anything is what carried him all the way this year.
Interesting business about his 1973 championship ring. He doesn't wear it. He keeps it in a safe deposit box in the bank. But when the playoffs roll around, as they did for the Bulls last year and again this year, then he takes the ring out, puts it on, and just uses that as a quiet motivator. He doesn't whack anybody in the head with it, figuratively or literally, but he just gives the guys a little bit of a taste. This is what it could be all about. Last year, pert near but not plum. And this year, we got the whole enchilada. We went the whole way, and the 1991 NBA championship has come home to Chicago.
The crowd is growing bigger by the second.
It seems to be, yeah. One wonders why the holdup. We're not waiting for the last person to come in, are we?
I don't think so. And you're right, they don't really need a warm-up. A nice roadkill sign out in front of us. And it was a roadkill. Right now, Allison Payne still out in the crowd somewhere. Allison, what do you have?
Having a great time, Dan, and I got one for you. This is Antoine from Brown School, and he wanted to tell you, Antoine, tell Dan, who do you hate? The Detroit Pistons. They went home. And this is Tania. She's also from Brown School. Tania, you tell Dan, who do you hate?
Los Angeles Lakers.
You got to scream it.
Los Angeles Lakers.
All right, thank you, sweetheart, because the only winners around here are the Chicago Bulls. Rick and Dan.
You know, it was funny this morning, Dan, Allison, I was walking around before anything really got started, just talking to some of the people who were here for this celebration, trying to get a feel for what was going on. We're backstage again. There's lost it. That was Pippen talking to one of the some of the fans that were here, and everybody was a Chicago Bulls fan. I was asking around people from Atlanta, Laredo, Texas. Man, oh man, look at that crowd.
Well, the whole city block is just about packed in now, and I mean, that is really growing, Rick. It wasn't nearly that big even 20 minutes ago.
I think the police department was surprised, Dan. They tried crowd control and simply couldn't manage it, even with the initial surge of people getting in for the reserve seats, or what had been billed as reserve seats. The fences have long since been knocked down, and there is no such thing as reserved seating anymore. But I don't think the police really had a handle on it. Fortunately, it's not been an ugly situation, just a crowded situation. But once the crowd surged into the Petrillo band shell area proper, the paved area that is part of the band shell, They brought in a half a dozen mounted police officers and moved them down to the front of the crowd just in case there might be another surge toward the Bulls when they're introduced.
And I wasn't in Chicago the night of the clincher, of course. I was out with a club in L.A., but I was almost sorry I wasn't here just for the fact that I missed what happened in the streets of Chicago that night. I know there were some ugly incidents in some sections of town, but I guess
there were a few.
For the most part, it was pretty good-natured celebration and a lot of people out on Wednesday night, too.
It tends to be good-natured. We get enthusiastic here in Chicago, and that enthusiasm occasionally gets out of control, and a Metra train station on the south side gets burned down, and it's a $200,000 loss to Metra. So, yeah, it does get to be a little bit enthusiastic, and once in a while, that's Bill Cartwright. Backstage, kind of hanging out.
I'll tell you, I think Bill appreciates this as much as anybody, Rick. He's had some trouble with injuries during his career, was playing on a Knicks team that really didn't appear to be going anywhere, and got new life in the trade that sent him to Chicago for Charles Oakley and a couple of other considerations. And Bill had a couple of injury-plagued years here, actually. Didn't really get off until this year when he had his knees repaired in the offseason and came back limber and loose and ready to play. And, you know, a lot of people say he doesn't do much, but I'll tell you one thing. He bumps, he scores when he gets the ball down low, and he's really contributed to this team.
An incredibly physical game, and it hasn't always been that way.
B.J. Armstrong, what a lift off the bench he's been for most of the season. Another young player coming into his own in this league.
Were we lucky this year, Dan, in a sense that the Bulls avoided the injuries that could really have put a damper on the season and cost them the championship?
That's definitely right, and you know, some of that credit goes to the training staff. We have a new trainer this year.
Just going to ask whether it was luck or maybe it was the training.
Dr. John Heffern and Chip did a great job in helping these guys to keep healthy. You know, it's a preventive type thing. It's not all treating injuries after they occurred.
Well, the question of conditioning came up a number of times during the playoffs where it looked at, especially after the first game, that the Bulls were really running the legs off the Lakers.
You don't want to forget Al Vermeil and his weight staff out at the multiplex either. They've done a tremendous job. In the finals, the numbers, tremendous field goal shooting. Free throw shooting good, assists. I mean, they just rewrote the record book.
So did
a lot
the
of chapters of it.
Well, the Lakers scored the fewest points for a 5-game series in the playoff finals. I think that one went into the record books too, something like 450, what was it, 458 total points for that 5-game series.
Well, they had only 82 in the fourth game. They only shot 35 or 36%. That's a testament to the Bulls defense right there, to hold a team like L.A. with Magic Johnson's assist ability and scoring ability and some other great players on that club as well. To keep them to 82 over a 48-minute game is a phenomenal task for any team.
We are standing around waiting, as are all of you who are watching us, and about 500,000 people here in Grant Park who are waiting for the announcements, the introductions of the Bulls front office, Mayor Daley, Governor Edgar, and the Bulls themselves. While we're waiting for that, why don't you stay tuned? We'll be right here. We'll take a break and be right back with Chicago Celebrates the Bulls after this. Okay, Johnny Red Kerr, the MC, Bulls announcer, first head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He's our MC for the day, and let's hear what he's got to say.
Followed by representing the state of Illinois, Governor James Edgar. Principal owner of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry Reinsdorf. Vice President, Director of Operations, basketball portion, Jerry Krause.
And Jerry drew the honors to bring out the championship trophy, the O'Brien Cup. It's almost as big as he is.
North Dakota, but he's Chicago's favorite son now, the coach, Phil Jackson.
Brief remarks from a couple of the VIPs. We'll see the Bulls in just a minute.
Here they come. Ladies and gentlemen, your Chicago Bulls. Where's Ray Clay when we need him?
A rookie from North Carolina, Scott Williams. From Vanderbilt.
Scotty's just going crazy.
He's got to love it.
Of Ohio State, Dennis Hudson. From Wichita State, Cliff Livingston. From Oklahoma, Stacey King. From the Chicago area and Long Beach State, Greg Hodges.
I tell you, I wish you could all be here to see the arms go up when these guys are introduced. This is
From Iowa, B.J. Armstrong.
They love that little guy.
Their starting lineup from Clemson, Horace Grant.
Fans might rename this park for him.
A man in the middle, Bill Cartwright. From Notre Dame to Paxman, Johnny Paxman. From Central Arkansas, Scottie Pippen.
All right, fasten your seatbelts.
Look out now.
And from North Carolina, the MVP, Michael Jordan. That's your world champion, Chicago Bulls, 1991. For a special proclamation from the city, Mayor Daley.
Thank you very much, Johnny Kerr. On behalf of the people of the city of Chicago, we are proclaiming June 14th to be Chicago Bulls Day and proudly salute our very own NBA world champions. I'd like to present this to the coach, Phil Jackson, and say to you, to Phil Jackson, the assistant coaches, the entire team, and especially their families, you represent the best on and off the court.
Thank you, Mayor, on behalf of the team and this organization. The fact that it's Flag Day, we accept.
A special presentation, each one of the players be given to the mayor at this time.
These are the banners that you see up and down Michigan Avenue celebrating the 1991 NBA championship. The city banners that are downtown and along Michigan Avenue, and each of the 12 players is being presented with a banner. Just a token of the city's esteem.
I'll tell you, those will be treasured by all those players and coaches. They're beautiful things. You can see them up and down Michigan Avenue, I think, and a couple of other places out on the west side near the stadium as well. That'll be great mementos of this year.
Correct, and the city auctions those next winter, I believe. Little extra way of raising funds. And I imagine those will be going for a premium when the city auctions those. There are many others, of course, that are still on light standards up and down Michigan Avenue and Madison Street. when they auction those off, they'll go for a pretty penny.
This victory was not only savored by everybody in the city of Chicago, but everybody in this great state of Illinois. Representing them are Governor Jim Edgar. Jim Edgar, please.
Thank you very much. It's indeed my pleasure, on behalf of the 11.5 million people of the state of Illinois, to express our appreciation to the Chicago Bulls. And today, I'd ask Coach Jackson if he'd stand forward to present a proclamation that we're proclaiming June 14th, 1991 as World Champion Chicago Bull Days in the state of Illinois.
Thank you, Governor. It's our proud honor to accept this organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me bring up two guys, the odd couple, but they worked hand in hand. One a big man, one a little man. General Manager Jerry Krause and Coach Phil Jackson.
All right, I've got the greatest sports fans in the world, you Bulls fans. There's some people behind the scenes that do great jobs, and I'm going to introduce them for a second and let you know who they are, because a lot of the things that have happened today happened because of them. Our scouts and my two assistants, Clarence Gaines Jr., Clarence, and Jimmy Stack. Jimmy and Clarence, outstanding people. The rest of my staff, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Karen Stack, who's been tremendous through the years, and we owe so much to. Thank you. And Phil's going to introduce the coaching staff now.
I know there's lots of people to introduce here, but I must introduce my coaching staff, starting with our trainer, Chip Schaefer. The most healthy club in the NBA. All right. To our leg man, the guy that goes out the road, does all the scouting and the board work, Jim Clemens. The offensive coordinator, the man responsible for the triangle, Tex Splitter. And a man who's been called the genius of defense, Johnny Bach. Thank you all very much.
Well, you've heard from the brass. What do you say we hear from a couple of players? All right. Going to bring up a 3-year veteran from Vanderbilt, Will Purdue. Will.
Say thank you to all the great fans. You guys did a very good job today. And the only thing I can say is repeat.
There's a guy that brought thrills and chills to us around the All-Star team. Made 19 three-pointers in a row. Our own local product, Craig Hodges.
I guess so.
Hey, this tastes so nice. We got to do it twice.
All right, Craig. He's been working on that for a couple of days, Rick.
I think it works for everybody here. They're already starting to talk about 91, 92, aren't they?
Lounging in Atlanta, but not this year. A great help to this ball club. Good news, Cliff Livingston.
And here's a guy who really made a contribution, especially in the final series.
Be interesting to see what they do with his contract.
I just want to say you guys are the greatest fans I've ever played for. Without you guys, I don't think we would have won a championship. And I just got one more thing to say. What time is it?
That was Cliff's trademark phrase before every game. He'd get the guys around him. What time is it? Game time, they'd say. Then they'd go out and kill somebody.
Probably the most effective center to play in the NBA this year when you look at his team's results. The man in the middle, Bill Cartwright. All I can say,
there you go.
about 12 years of NBA basketball, 9 years of frustration, 3 years of inspiration, repeat.
They really are talking about next year.
Well, that's encouraging.
A guy that had one of the tough jobs all through the series. He's got to play guys 30 pounds heavier than him, but he still shot over 63%. Horace Grant.
Always smiling, Horace.
He's got a lot to smile about today.
Blowing kisses to the hundreds of thousands of fans here.
First, I would like to thank God.
Listen to the crowd. Horace.
Secondly, I would like to thank my teammates for having the confidence. And I would like to thank you fans for giving us the support that we really needed. And definitely repeat.
For 2 years, Notre Dame fans haven't been too proud of their alumni. But this year, they're proud again of the World Championship. Johnny Paxson.
Johnny Paxson talking about contracts, Rick.
Yeah.
Here's a guy whose numbers went up like a cash register every time he hit one of those 5 shots he hit in a row in the fourth quarter of the final game.
He's unrestricted now, isn't he?
I can't
Not for long.
my voice. All I know is I've been here 6 years. I've seen the low periods. And I've waited a long time for today. Thank you. We'll be back again next year.
Probably take us that long to clear the crowd out of Grant Park.
It may.
One of the brightest young stars in his 3 years in the NBA. He's from Central Arkansas, but his heart is with us. Scottie Pippen.
I just want you all to know that we all as players really thank you all for your support. And this has been a great season for me because my teammates stood by me. But what happened to us last season, and we stepped back up. And we all want you to know that this one is for you. And you can take this with you.
Boy, that's a souvenir for somebody.
You better believe it.
Now you take that home and say this is the one that he threw to the crowd. Who's going to believe you?
Let's hear from Superman.
Now I'd say that he was getting a standing ovation, but then nobody's been seated throughout this whole event.
The money man.
What an athlete and what a human being, huh?
Crowd chanting MVP.
First of all, I'd like to say It's been 7 years.
Stand right there, Michael, and soak it up.
It's been 7 years since I came to this city in 1984. When I first came here, we started from the bottom, and we had to work our way up to the top. Right now, to this day, we are on top. I'd like to give thanks to the fans in Chicago. I'd like to give thanks to my 11 other teammates, to the coaching staff, to the whole Chicago organization, and to my family. We did it. It's been a long struggle, but we're going to be back here next year for another long struggle.
For a very, very special presentation, something this city has been waiting for 25 years. I'd like to bring up the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, to make a special presentation to Mayor Daley.
What it's been all about. The O'Brien Trophy.
You want BJ? You got him.
We forgot BJ. BJ Armstrong's got something to say.
I just want to know one thing. How good does it feel, Chicago? Does it feel good up here? I just want to say thanks to all my teammates, all the coaching staff, the organization here, and I'm just very proud to be a part of this situation and what's going on here and enjoy it. In Chicago, we're looking forward to bigger and better things, and hopefully we'll be back here next year celebrating and partying. Hey, I love you guys. Guys, take care now.
Be any prettier backdrop for this kind of event. Want to hear from the rookie, Scott Williams, too. Can you imagine having a rookie season that ends in a championship?
Well,
a free agent, too, undrafted.
Yeah. This is great. I just go out there, I show my emotions, you know, it's just winning the world championship. But to come back to party with y'all, it's even a better feeling. Thank you, Chicago. One other thing I'd like to say, I got down a lot of times during this season. It seemed like a long year sitting on that bench. And I got support from a lot of you fans who wrote me letters over the long season. And it really paid off because it really kept my mind in the game. I was able to come back in the playoffs and really make some things happen. I hope next year is a much longer year than what seemed like was a long year this year. All right, world champs.
We want to bring up Stacey King. Stacey!
First of all, as a team, we couldn't do this without you. And second of all, everybody's already congratulated on everything that y'all did for us. So let's just go out there and have a party tonight, tear up the city, have a great time, and show them what Chicago's all about. Chicago, we love you, so what the hell, let's go for two.
Dennis Hobson! Dennis Hobson! Yes!
I just want to thank all you fans. You guys are the greatest. You fans you're the greatest. And next year, hopefully we can do the same thing. And we need you behind us 100%. Go Bulls.
Another loving shot of Grant Park from our helicopter about 500 feet up. The official crowd estimate, at least the last one we received, was in the neighborhood of 300,000 people. But again, Dan Rowe and I have to figure it's more than that. Here's the Jerry Reinsdorf, the principal owner of the Bulls.
When I sat in Los Angeles and I watched these games, I realized something very strange was going on. I was able to actually talk to the people next to me. You can't do that in Chicago Stadium. And when the game was over and all the euphoria and all the excitement, something was missing, and I didn't realize what it was until I got back here today. And what was missing was all of you people, all of our fans. I'm not going to throw the trophy.
A good idea. Good plan.
This trophy was won by an incredible team of players and coaches, but it really belongs to all of you people. And so what I'm going to do now is give it to Mayor Daley. He can keep it for a while at City Hall. And you can all come to City Hall and see it. And then for you Republicans, he's going to give it to the mayor, and he's going to have it at the State of Illinois building, so everybody will get a chance to see this trophy. Mr. Mayor.
Jordan had said the night that they won the championship that he was going to sleep with it. You suppose he really did?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
You have seen it. Chicago celebrates the Bulls. And there are some who are trying to leave the immediate vicinity of the Petrillo Music Show, but not many, Dan Rowe.
No, a lot of them are just sticking around to watch the end of this thing. You know, the Blues Fest. Yeah, the Blues Fest begins, well, right after they clear the area. Probably won't even clear the area, but half these people will hang around and see some of that.
Can you imagine having the championship Chicago Bulls as your lead-in?
That's not a bad opening act, is it?
No, it is not. You know, we've had Chicago Fest, we've had Blues Fest, which you mentioned, Dan, is going to be beginning in just a few minutes. This has really been a love fest between the city of Chicago and their Chicago Bulls. Particularly interesting to me, Dan, that there was more than one mention among the 12 players on the team about repeat, let's go for two, dynasty, and so on.
It was almost unanimous. Now, there's work to be done in the offseason. The Bulls right now, as far as the front office and coaching staff and scouting groups are concerned, are having to get together and get ready for the NBA draft, which comes up in just a couple of weeks.
Who are we looking for?
Well,
what kind of help do we need?
The problem with winning the NBA championship is that you pick last in the first round and the second round, so I don't know what's going to be out there, but Jerry Krause has shown that he's not afraid to take chances. He's not come through every time, but he's certainly done well with some of the people that he's gotten on this club. Scottie Pippen, for instance, was somewhat of an unknown quantity when he was picked high in the first round. I think he was ultimately the number 6 pick. The Bulls wound up getting him in a little deal with Cleveland. But, you know, Jerry will go out on a limb, and down there at 28, really the pressure's off. You're out there trying to get the best athlete you can get. He's done very well with Scott Williams, I'll say that. The Bulls decided to bring him in and eventually sign him for the number 12 spot. And Scotty was a heavy contributor, especially in the championship series against the Lakers. Did a great job inside.
He really blossomed this year in the later half of the season, certainly. There's been talk of some trades. Stacey King, BJ, Hobson, Livingston, Hodges may be trade bait. What's your take on some of those? Are they going to be around next year?
Well, if you go by the example of the Pistons, even in their championship years, there's been 20 to 25% turnover on the ball club after each of those winning seasons. So, those things happen, and it's true that some of the players didn't play as well as they might have been expected to play, as well as the front office had expected them to play when they acquired them. But, none of that really matters right now. I mean, they can worry about that stuff in a month. Right now, for the Bulls players and the coaches and Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf, it's time to just sit back and enjoy this for a couple of weeks, and I'm sure that's what they're going to do.
Absolutely, but I also think that they will probably be looking ahead in the not too far distant future. Yeah, let's savor the moment, but there's always, what are you going to do for me tomorrow? What are you going to do for me next year? Allison Payne out in that sea of humanity. Allison, let's check in again with you.
Rick and Dan, I'm doing radio now because I don't even want you to see me. I'm so hot and sticky and sweaty, stuck out here in the middle of everybody. And I'll tell you, I'm really glad the celebration is over, and I hope nobody got hurt because it's awfully hot out here. And there are people standing up against this fence. Some of them said they were being crushed and tried to jump over, and saw some people suffering from heat stroke. Everybody's happy to see the Bulls, but I got to tell you, if we can get some room and clear out of here, we'll feel so much better. Really feel like we can celebrate again. Wish I were up there with you guys now.
Yeah, it's got to be hot down there, and Allison brings up a very valid point. I don't think anybody was expecting a crowd this size. The sanitation facilities, even though they were anticipating people to come to Blues Fest, then we have the championship, which we won Wednesday night. Now today we have the celebration, but I don't think anybody in the city of Chicago, even in his or her wildest imaginings, expected a crowd this size or had any anticipation of trying to control it or provide for it.
Probably not, Rick, but I can't say that in front of us, the aisleway from stage to the exit area is jammed with people, and they're moving out slowly but surely, and I don't see any pushing and shoving.
No, I don't either. We expressed some concern earlier in our broadcast when there was a push of people that moved forward, knocked down a chain link fence, and when those things happen, there's a chance that somebody might get hurt. We didn't see anybody getting hurt. This has not been a bad crowd. This has been a very enthusiastic crowd, but not terribly unruly. Part of it is, I suspect, because it's early in the day yet, and the sale of alcoholic beverages has not been permitted in Grant Park, and that has to have helped keep this crowd on the boisterous but civilized side, if we may say it that way. They've sure had a heck of a party here in Grant Park.
I'm sure the players were awestruck when they came out. And there's another look from back behind in the helicopter. You can see, I mean, people are starting to move out toward the fringes of this group, and
slowly but surely.
Yeah, it'll clear out, but it's going to take a while. A lot of people probably aren't in a big hurry to leave anyway. I'd like to sit here and, as we talked about the players savoring some moments, they wouldn't mind staying around here and savoring this for a few more minutes.
Certainly not, having been a part of a little piece of history today. I think it's amazing that there are this many people here, given the fact that it is a weekday afternoon. It's not a weekend. This is a work day. Most schools are still in session. Some are off for the summer, but the Chicago public school system, for example, is still in session. And yet we've turned 300, maybe 400, maybe 500,000 people, maybe more into Grant Park.
Well, if it wasn't a weekend day before now, it's a weekend day now. I can't see too many of these people heading back to work after.
Not. We'll have more of Chicago